Hello, good morning, good morning. Somebody just messaged me and said they couldn't hear the music. So if somebody could drop in the chat, let me know you can hear me. That would be awesome. I just want to make sure we're not having any tech issues. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. So we must be good. Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, good morning. My name is Jessica Pierce, and I am the CEO and founder of Career Connectors. We are so glad you guys are here today. And as you can see, people have already started talking in the chat. So if you can open up your chat box on the bottom of your screen, then we'd just love to know, what is your name? Where are you joining us from? So we get people from all over the country here, so to let us know where you're joining us from. And we'd love to know not just what industry or job you want, but we would love to hear kind of your dream job. What is that one job that, maybe you've thought about and you've wanted and maybe you haven't pursued it, or maybe you're an expert in that area and that is what you want to do and you've been doing it. But let us know in the chat where you're joining us from and kind of that dream job. What job do you really, really want to go after? So welcome again. Thank you for letting me know also that you guys can hear me. Thanks. I appreciate that. So this morning, I'm going to go through a couple things on about this event and some of the tech stuff, and then we'll get diving into it. So this is Career Connectors. We are a nonprofit organization all about building stronger communities, and we do that through jobs. We know that having great jobs is a foundation to the family and the community structure. And so that's our goal, is to bring you the resources, also bringing you the employer connections to help you move along in that process. And so in our organization, our mission is all about empowering you, also the employers and the community resources to all work together to help our community be stronger. And so that's what we're here. We've been here for 15 years. We launched this, July of 2009, right in the middle of the Great Recession, right after I had shut down a business, and my husband had been through career transition 3 times in 6 months. And so it was in that moment that we were like, what the heck are we going to do? And so, like any normal person, I decided to volunteer. Yes. And so volunteering helped step into where we are today. And it was the first step. And that's one of the things we always encourage you all to look at any time of your life, but especially while you're going through career transition. How can you volunteer and serve others? Because you never know what that's going to lead to. All right, so good. Thank you for dropping in the chat some of your jobs, stuff you're really looking for. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so what I would love for you to do is take a look. Many of you are already on the chat, so great. Keep doing that. Make sure you're asking questions in the chat today. That's how we're going to be answering everything, because we're asking everyone to stay muted, completely muted, until we get to the end or the last hour of the call, which is where we're going to go into breakout rooms, and you can connect with speakers and coaches and do some small group and one-on-one coaching. And so stay muted, but please ask questions in the chat. We do have coaches and experts on this call responding to questions as they come up, as well as our speakers. They'll also be responding. Now, for the display today, typically the best display view that you're going to have is called speaker view. And speaker view is when you have the PowerPoint on in the big screen, and then you have a little screen of the speaker. And so the way that you do that is, if you on your computer, if you're on a laptop or a computer, up to the top right, you will see an option that says view. And if you click on that, you will see side-by-side speaker. Side-by-side speaker view will give you that PowerPoint and then the person that's speaking. So side-by-side speaker view. If you're on a phone, sometimes it's under 3 little dots. Sometimes it's under a something that says more, and you can click on that, and usually you can get the view that you want. All right, at the end of the call, we're going to go in, not the end, the last hour of the call, we're going to go into breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, like I mentioned, you'll be able to talk to our speakers. We have a whole bunch of coaches, resume writers, LinkedIn coaches, career coaches, finance coaches, the gamut, that are going to be available to chat with you. And so I encourage you to stay on for that portion, and we'll walk you through at the time how to jump onto those breakout sessions. We also have closed captioning available for you. So that is on the bottom of your screen, and it says show captions. And if you click show captions, then you're going to be able to read everything that is coming through to you today. All right. Thank you for dropping into the chat. I'm going to ask, if you haven't opened up the chat, please do so. Okay, I see like BB says a global consultant to employees in all things HR. So we have an HR expert in the room. Tamara says event hybrid virtual program planner in the metaverse. All right, that is specific. It's so good because as Tamara is talking to people out there, she can tell them exactly what she would love to do. Congratulations on your certification. And then we have people from Hawaii and a global training company here that is helping people. Hi, Debbie from Tempe. I know Debbie. Good to see you. And so we have April looking for remote customer service. So we have people all over the place. Will you, in the chat, drop a 1 if you are actively job searching? So you are actively looking for a job, you are trying to interview and trying to land a job. Drop a 2 if you are here and you're like, maybe you have a job and you're just kind of, you know, stepping into the water, putting your toe in the water, or you're doing some professional development. Put a 2 if you're just kind of thinking about the next steps or your career. And put a 3 if you are a volunteer, a speaker, a community partner, and you're here, or a community resource, and you're here to help people move along in their career pathway. So you guys, looking in the chat, we see a lot of active job seekers. You are in the right place. We see some candidates, which we call passively looking, which maybe have a job, but they are kind of putting their toe in the water. And great. And then you'll see we have community resources and partners in the room as well. Lots of good stuff here, you guys. It's going to be a great day. On our agenda today, we have Brenda Mariah. You guys, she's fantastic. I can't wait for you to hear her. She is going to be talking about the hard stuff, tackling those career obstacles, age, race, gender. She's going to be addressing all of those because we hear it so often that people think there are things that are stopping you from moving forward and getting the career that you want. And so she's going to take on those tough subjects today. She's the right person. We've had her out multiple times. She is fantastic on this topic. And then you're going to hear from Mark Pierce. He is a counselor, and he is going to be talking about getting through that grief cycle after layoff and how getting to the place where you are confident in yourself again. So it's going to be a day. We have some stuff to talk about. And then we're going to go into some resources. And at that time, after we do the resources, then we'll be going into the breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms are a great time for you to really connect. The other thing I encourage you to do, we have a lot going on in the chat, but the other thing I encourage you to do today is at one point, drop in your LinkedIn URL. And the reason we ask you to do that is because that's a way for us to connect. Not only us to connect with you, but for you to connect with other people. And so I'm going to drop the instructions on how to do that in the chat. I just did it. And so the way that you do that is go out to LinkedIn. On your browser, you will see, or actually, I typically tell people just to go to their profile page. You can get there by clicking on your picture, but go to your profile page, and then that URL that's in the top, copy that and drop it into the chat. And there's tons of people dropping it in. Peter, Michael, thank you, Davina, Jeff. So dropping it into the chat, it makes it blue and clickable. Blue and clickable, that means you can go on and click on someone's LinkedIn URL and it will take you to them, and then you can connect with them. And so sometimes LinkedIn, they're always changing things. Sometimes there's a max amount of people that they allow you to connect with in a period of time. And so that may happen. But we encourage you guys to connect with each other as much as possible in the call and then outside of the call. And a LinkedIn is a great way to do that. All right, you guys. I would love to introduce you to Brenda Mariah. When you know you can do the job, but you're having trouble getting others to see your value, that's where Brenda Mariah comes in. specializing in boosting confidence in those who are facing discrimination and going to battle emotionally in their careers or transitions. Brenda of Push Career Management is a career-focused speaker, wordsmith, career storyteller, encourager, author, and strategist that can help them and you see what you're made of. Working with major brands to provide corporate outplacement during layoffs, Brenda's engineering and project management background uniquely qualifies her to help even the most technical professionals. She is the president of the National Resume Writers Association and past president of the Resume Writers and Coaches Association. Brenda Mariah is certified in interview coaching, compensation negotiation, job search strategy, resume writing, career management, LinkedIn profile development, and employment law. Her insights have been featured across numerous media outlets, including CNN. Not only that, you guys, but Brenda is a dear friend. She's been a great supporter of Career Connectors and the work we've been doing for many, many, many years. And we are so excited to have her today. Please help me welcome Brenda Mariah.
Oh my goodness. Good morning. Thank you, Jessica. I love you so much. I love Career Connectors. I love your mission, what all of you all are doing, Joey, Bree, the whole team. This is an important time, and I'm normally a little bit more bubbly than I am right now. But right now, you guys, I'm getting a little mad. I'm getting a little angry at the state of affairs of things. I talk to so many people that are likely in your shoes, but I talk to them all day, every day, and it's getting ridiculous. And so, if you don't mind for a moment, we're going to start with something a little controversial. So, if I have your permission through a few head nods, and again, I appreciate those of you who turned on some cameras because I like to interact with the people. um, yes, yes. Lisa, okay, good to see you. All right, Paula, Tamara, we're gonna talk about some hard things today. But I think about sometimes when we are in a crowded space. Let's just be real. Have you ever noticed sometimes that it seems like all the Black people go sit together? Did you ever notice that? Well, why is that? Why do you think we do that? Do you think we do that just to alienate others? Or could it be that we tend to seek out each other because as a part of human nature, we draw toward the familiar? We want to see and be near and in proximity to those who look like us and probably make us to feel more comfortable. Thank you, Danielle, for that word. Comfort, Lee, that same word, comfort. But the same thing ends up happening in your job search. Employers tend to flock to the ones that make them more comfortable. So for one moment, let me get a timeout. I want to talk to those of you who may be here and in a position to hire. I want to talk to the employers for just a moment. Let me get your ear. We all have some degree of bias. We all do. I don't care who you are on this call. You don't have to raise your hand. Just keep looking straight ahead. But we all have some sort of a bias. We do. It was brought to my attention that I have bias toward, I didn't even realize it. It was unconscious. I didn't realize that I had a bias toward even what is the word? Ableism, right? There was a bias that I had. I had this automatic assumption, right? I would say, oh, go take a walk. Well, that's not a thing for everybody, right? And so we think about things like accents. What is your perception of somebody who speaks with a non-native English accent? Do you automatically think they are less intelligent? And again, I'm challenging some thought processes today because when we are faced with those things and we create the awareness, now we can do something about it. But if we just continue to operate in, well, I didn't know that was a problem, then this cycle, this vicious, ugly, gory cycle can continue. And today is a whole new day. So I don't care if it's race, gender, geography. You think somebody's not good enough simply because of where they grew up? And I think about the bias that some of you are facing right now, which is unemployment bias. When you show up on LinkedIn and you put that well-meaning green banner that says open to work, I get what you're trying to do, but I want you to understand that there are so many people out there that see that and say, well, if their last employer couldn't keep them, why should I bring them on? What's so special about them? I'm not suggesting that that's a right state of mind or a right form of thinking. I'm simply letting you know that this is a reality that you are contending with and you may not have known it. And so today is a very good day because awareness can spark change. And so I hope that just in this moment of talking to employers and making them aware that these things do exist, that we can start to really influence and impact what comes next. I'm mad. I know you're mad. I have seen so many people out here trying, diligently trying to apply for jobs and do all the right things, and they're prepared and they're showing up and they're investing in the courses and they're watching the videos and they're showing up to programs like Career Connectors and they're doing what they were told to do, and yet you keep getting the rejection, you keep getting you're overqualified, and you keep being asked and challenged about your employment gaps. Half of the time your employment gaps were because you were laid off repeatedly over the course of the years. How was that your fault? Right? And so let me make sure I'm advancing here. Hold on. I don't seem to be advancing. And I don't want it to get too far ahead. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Job search is way harder than it needs to be. It just is. Every couple of years as a coach, as an advisor, I intentionally put myself through a job search. I don't know that many of you know that. I do intentionally do that. I intentionally go on interviews. I intentionally review job descriptions to see just how difficult it is to customize a resume and apply to different types of positions. Even though they're similar, they're also very different. And so I'm taking so much time just to apply for one position, only to get the email rejection that they already filled it with an internal candidate. So I've taken all of a full day to do this application for what? For nothing. So I'm mad. I'm genuinely mad. This is so much harder than it needs to be. But today we're going to do some things to really outsmart the system. I want to teach you how to outmaneuver this thing and try to accelerate as very best we can. Oops. Okay. Now, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm Black. I should have mentioned that, right? I'm a woman. I should have mentioned that. I should have told you. You didn't know. I'm a woman. I am an engineer. I have natural hair that gets really curly when it gets wet. I'm over 40 years old. Matter of fact, I'm at the midway point, y'all. Hey. But probably one of the most important things that you need to understand right now is that I don't have a degree in career management. I have a degree in engineering, right? And so should that automatically disqualify me from being able to speak to you today? Because I think you heard what Jessica said. She read off all them letters and all those credentials and all those accolades Did you hear any of those things and think to yourself, yeah, but I didn't hear anything about a Bachelor of Science in career coaching. I didn't hear that. So let's not even listen to her. We have got to learn how to outsmart this system. And I want you to consider something. I'm going to read this because this is so, so important. It oftentimes has nothing to do with your lack of degree, your race, your age, your gender. Rather, so many times it's about a lack of connecting. I won't mention a name, but I read in the comments earlier somebody that just says, I want to do something that uses this skill and that skill. Here's the dilemma with that. I don't know what it's called. And if you don't know what it's called, you're expecting me to do all the mental gymnastics to figure out what you want to do with your own life. This is a dilemma. So please make sure we understand how to connect with our audience. And at the very least, we have to understand how to identify and name the exact kind of work that we want to do. The one that said they want to be a global consultant for HR, thank you. That was clear. It was clear. You made it plain. I didn't have to guess. But if you're like, oh, I want to do something that involves, people and leadership, I don't know what to do with that. And so, do you still think it's okay to use a poor resume or just list of everything I've ever done, but somebody ought to be paying me $90,000? Somebody ought to be doing that. Somebody ought to be paying me $150K. Because darn it, I've done it before. Do you think I should just give you a chance? You're not giving me any proof that you're good. You're just telling me that you've done it. And so let's think about if you're using the same channels as everybody else. If all you're doing is using a job board and just applying hundreds of jobs week in and week out, just application, just send quick, easy apply, easy apply, easy apply. I'm not taking any time to customize anything and talk to my specific audience. I'm just going to apply. And then I'm going to say, the system is rigged. They're out to get me. It's discrimination. Stop. I want us to take ownership for the part that we can take ownership for. Okay, so if you're using the same channels as everybody else and your resume isn't strong, why would I call you? I'm looking over here, y'all, so I can see your faces, so I can see those confused looks, so I can see the head nods. I can see, like, right on. You better preach, sister. I want to see all of that. But so many times, my friends, it is not always your fill in the blank, your age, your race, your whatever. Sometimes it's our marketing. Sometimes we can get in control here. All right. Oh, I think about, hold on, before we move on to that, I want to share with you, yes, looks like Calvin, MSBS Calvin. There was an individual once, it was a long time ago, somehow, some way, ask me how I know this person was 72 years old, because they led the conversation with the fact that they were 72 years old. I'm 72 years old. Nobody's giving me a chance. By the way, can I work for your company? What do you guys do? Come on now. Do you see my face? Is this ever okay to just show up and be like, what do you do? I'm 72 years old. I need a job. Give me a chance. The system is rigged. What? It had nothing to do with this person's age and everything to do with their lack of marketing, their lack of planning, their lack of research, study, diligence. Go on and on. Okay. Yeah, sometimes I think even about, so y'all are gonna hear me probably make references to dating just because it's the season I'm in. But I think about, if you think about dating, and let's say there was a potential date that wanted kids and cats. Let me tell you right now, I know we're not a good fit. Just right out the gate. I know we're not a good fit. You want kids and cats. I'm a dog person with grown children. I'm out. Okay. But if they present, I have adult children or no children, I love dogs, then we could keep the conversation going. But this is what is lacking so often when I see things like I'm just looking for something where I could be a leader and work with people. Okay, thank you. I don't know what you're trying to do, and you're proving to me that we're not a good fit. And that's okay that we're not a good fit. It's not okay if you're unclear. So I know this is not on our list of obstacles that we're going to contend with, but we're going to contend with it anyway, because this is something that I know some of you at least are worried about, concerned about. Yeah, thank you for that hand. Um, some of you are concerned about this. You've perhaps reached a certain level in your career without a degree, and now you're struggling. Like the next place isn't looking at me because I don't have a degree. And I will tell you that there are going to be some spaces where a degree is going to be required, certain professional roles where you cannot be a medical doctor without the degree, as an example. You just can't do it. You should not be designing buildings without a degree, right? You just shouldn't do it. But there are some situations, some opportunities where your experience will do. Your experience will overrule any education that you have been able to pursue. And so, just like when I was introduced, I told you I don't have a resume writing degree. I don't have a career coaching and career management degree, but I have been trained. I have developed skills. And shouldn't that count for something? The answer is yes. Okay. And so think about sometimes if you have a certification, make sure to get that thing on your resume if it helps to qualify you for the kind of work that you want to do. Think about things like even where do I position my education on my resume so that they can see I have been trained, I have pursued certification. Don't put it all the way at the bottom, put it toward the top so I can see right at the gate that you have what I'm looking for. Okay. Share some achievements. Again, if experience overrules education, then prove to me that through your experience, you have been able to yield some results. And so which one sounds better? I closed a $9 million deal, or I was responsible for sales calls, right? This isn't difficult. You closing a $9 million deal is proof that you're a good salesperson. You being responsible for making sales calls, all that tells me that's what your job was. It doesn't tell me if you were good at it. And so sometimes, so often, I'm looking at your respective resumes, and all I see is responsible for making sales, responsible for talking to customers, responsible for leading teams. I have no idea if you've done a good job. Now, here's a further practical element that I want you to consider if you do not have a degree, if you pursued one and did not complete one. Okay, here, y'all ready? You ready for the great big reveal? Put it on your resume. Bachelor of Science in Marketing, such and so University, Phoenix, Arizona, and then in parentheses, some coursework completed. Why the heck would I do that? I didn't finish the degree, but you did finish some portion of it. So as long as that is true, I'm not suggesting you do that if it's not the truth. If it is true, please give yourself every advantage to outsmart this system. I told you job search is way harder than it needs to be. And so we are going to learn today how to outsmart this thing, beat it at its own game. Okay. Now, if for whatever, if you feel like it keeps coming up against you and you don't have some coursework completed, there's no certification. First of all, today is a very good day to pursue some form of certification. Today is a very good day for that. There are resources. I know Career Connectors has resources that can plug you into like training and credentialing organizations. Arizona at Work here in the Arizona space, they can plug you into training and provide resources, grant funded training that you're not even paying out of pocket. Your local workforce development offices in your respective states will probably have something very similar. Ask about WIOA grant funded programs and get yourself plugged into the education that you require. But if for whatever reason you're unwilling, unable, et cetera, if it keeps coming up for you, one of the things that you could propose during your next interview is, may I ask what problems you're hoping a degree will solve? Because in my experience, I have faced similar challenges and ... Yes, there will be a recording and a playback. So just in case you missed that, catch it on the replay. So there's work that, again, things that we can control, work that we can do to give ourselves every possible advantage. But what about my gender? What about my sexual orientation? What about some of those things? Particularly with sexual orientation, my first question is always, what about it? Why do I care? Does it have any ability, any bearing on your ability to do the job? Because if the answer is no, then it's irrelevant. And why are you sharing it? Tell me more. Okay. Gender, we're not too far removed. I think I saw something today and it said like today was did it say the 50th anniversary? I think something like that, like the 50th anniversary of women being able to open a checking account without a man's signature. It was like June 5th or something this year. It was like the 50th. Yeah, that's a very recent history kind of thing, y'all. And so we're not too terribly far removed from some of those things. And so even today in certain states within our nation, you may have other challenges versus other states. Again, I told you we were going to be controversial. Did I not warn you? You gave me permission. I saw the head nods. I'm just doing what I said I was going to do. Okay. But similar to those of you who may have small children, children with developmental disabilities, chronic illness, perhaps we can just stop mentioning those things, especially since they are not relevant to your ability to do the job. Now, if they prevent you from being able to do the job, you need to be honest with yourself and any future employer, if they genuinely do prevent you from being able to do the job. But if not, carry on. Stop talking about it. It's not relevant. And let's say you are a member of the LGBTQ community, seek out organizations. I know one of the partners for Career Connectors is Best Companies AZ. I did a little digging around on their site the other day, and it's a very impressive site. And you can discover who are some of the best companies. They've already done the work to identify some of the best companies that have, very supportive reputations. They're have good, solid reputations in their communities. And again, that's AZ. You are probably going to have something similar, a book of lists from the Business Journal in your respective city or metro city. And so please check those things out, because there are going to be some organizations that have already done the work to position themselves as friendly to diverse communities. They're already doing that work. And so don't you get out here having to feel like you have to reinvent the wheel every single time. Job search is hard enough. Okay. Whew. Did I mention that I was Black? Did I mention that? Not sure if you saw. Um, there was a time where even I would accuse people of pulling the race card. Shock. I would. I did. And then I started to wake up and I'm like, wait, are we pulling the race card or is racism happening? um, Sometimes there is racism. Sometimes there is gender discrimination. Sometimes there is age discrimination. These things can and do happen. What can we do to outsmart the system and overcome the obstacle? So first, again, let me take a side note. Let me take a side journey and talk to the employers or those who would potentially someday employ. You know, you can learn how to pronounce certain names. You don't have to fear a person based on their name or their accent. You do realize I can teach you how to pronounce a name. You have learned some of the most advanced technologies this world has to offer. I can teach you how to pronounce a name. Deal? But for those of us who are facing it and you believe that it is your name that is giving clues and people are excluding you from the hiring process because of your name and potential ethnicity. I worked with a woman once who had I guess, a historically Hispanic sounding last name that she married into. She was a white woman. She was being discriminated because they thought she was Hispanic and she wasn't. But the bigger issue is, why were you discriminating against somebody because you thought they were Hispanic? Yeah, my God. Racism is it's real. There are things that you can do if you want to. Sometimes we have to create change from the inside. Sometimes we've got to get inside the organization and then create change for those who come behind us, right? We have seen so many trailblazers. Even to this day, there are still so many firsts happening. First woman, this, first Black person, that. This is 2024. Well, 2016, we had the first female vice president of the United States. That only took a couple of centuries. Right? So we're still working with a lot of firsts. And so sometimes if you're looking to be the trailblazer, get your foot in the door, get in the door, and then you can open it for those who come after. So how do I get my foot in the door? I can use initials instead of my full name. I can. I don't have to, but I can. A lot of my coworkers back when I was at Motorola were of Indian descent and had really long multi-syllable names, and they would revert to using an initial. So I had a lot of coworkers that we essentially called them nicknames that were their initials. I hated not having the opportunity to learn their actual identities. But here we are. They wanted to try to make it easier for others. So they got in the door somehow, some way. So you can do things like using initials. You can do things like A/B testing. And that means I'm going to use my full name and show up as my full self and be in all of my full glory with this set of resumes and applications. And I'm going to use an initial version with this set of applications and see which one gets the call. That's A/B testing. It's not pretty. Oh, did I say that these solutions were pretty? Did I say that? I did not say that because it's not. A lot of these solutions aren't necessarily pretty, comfortable, or easy. We're not here to talk about comfort and ease and all of those things. We're not here to talk about that. This is a hard moment So we're talking about hard things. And sometimes the solution isn't pretty. How do you do? Oh, wait, I know I wasn't supposed to be looking at questions, but I just happened to catch this one. How do you do that with your LinkedIn profile? I think you're talking about your name or initials or something. You can use initials on LinkedIn. Yep. And so you can use initials on LinkedIn. You can do one of the things that I like to do is put the full name, but maybe put a nickname in parentheses or something like that. Something that maybe people can grab a hold to a little bit easier. No, nobody should have to adjust and modify their whole identity to get a job. But we have established now that discrimination does happen. It does make it harder. This is a particularly hard moment in time. This is hard, like kind of like what Jessica went through in 2009, like just all the multiple layoffs, just can't seem to get ahead, can't seem to get a chance. I can't even get a foot in the door. People are reluctant to even hire right now. They're kind of putting some things on hold because I'm going to wait and see what happens with the election. I'm going to hold. I'm going to see what's going on in, this part of the world. There are considerations that you're not even kind of mindful of that are affecting you and your search, the speed of your search. Right now, this is a hard moment. And so, if you believe that racism is affecting your search, think about things like removing certain indicators. Like if you're a member of the National Black MBA Association, you don't have to say that. You can just say a National MBA Association. If you belong to such and so Christian church, you don't have to say that because sometimes they're discriminated against your religion. Now, should you hide your spirituality? No. Does your spirituality have any bearing on your ability to do the job? No, unless you work for a church. So come on, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you some options, some solutions, some food for thought, because it is high time we outsmart this system. Yeah. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. I see, just before I move on to this next slide, I think, is it Rantine? Um, I named my children so that you could not guess their race or culture until you meet them. I think on some level, my mother did the same. I think. So this is the reality. And again, some of you are like, what? That's not a thing. Yeah, if your name is Mike, it probably doesn't affect you. But if your name is Taniqua, it probably does. And I want all the Mikes of the world to understand that Taniqua is just as qualified as you are. Just saying. Okay. Now, age. It's probably one of the most common points of discrimination that I hear. Age. I even heard directly out of a recruiter's mouth once. I was so disgusted. She said, "Yeah, we're really trying to look for candidates under 55." I was like, "What? Oh my, I can't believe you said that out of your face." But it was said out loud. That was said. And so here's the reality. We might have set out for a real kind of easy breezy. All of your previous job searches have been swift, easy. You've networked your way in, never really any difficulty. And now, yeah, here we are, tumultuous and rejection upon rejection. This is hard. At the very least, if nothing more, you walk away from this conversation knowing that it is well understood how hard this is. You are seen and you are heard and you are validated. Those words don't make any of this easier. I hope that some of these solutions can help create a pathway for you to move out of this position into the next. So here we talk about, I always love this picture now. It's a few years old at this point, so she's probably more like 78 years old, but I never want to let go of the picture because the picture perfectly illustrates the point. We think because somebody has crossed some imaginary phantom threshold that somehow their usefulness is gone. And I disagree. But here are some of the real stigmas associated with age: that your skills are out of date. Oh, now, Dave, you just asked the question. Hold that thought, Dave. I'm going to come back to it in a second because Dave just asked the question. But the stigma is outdated skills. You haven't kept up with technology. You're too rigid, inflexible. You're the type of person that would say, well, we always done it this way. These are the stigmas. I'm not saying this is the truth, but these are the beliefs and assumptions made about people beyond a certain age. That you require so much more from a compensation standpoint than your peer. I can get the same skills cheaper elsewhere. And then some of the code words, how you'll possibly be able to filter through, is this age discrimination? Are they looking for a younger candidate? They're giving you these code words like you're overqualified, right? Sometimes that is a code word. Sometimes it has nothing to do with your age. You are genuinely too qualified for this position, right? So let's not label everything as discrimination. Sometimes I can't do it. I cannot put a medical doctor of 10 years that has all of these amazing skills and say, okay, you're gonna, clean the bathrooms at this gas station. I can't do it. I cannot physically bring myself to make that kind of a match because it doesn't make sense. But even in my recent job search experiment, I've seen a lot of fast-paced. I don't think saw the word hustle, but I definitely saw the term fast-paced a lot, like an uncomfortable amount. And although I'm 45, I'm, quite youthful or what have you, my body sometimes says otherwise. And if my body is saying no, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of scary. Fast paced. Like, are they going to expect me to hustle from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and sometimes on weekends? Can I keep up with that? Ooh, and it scares me right out of even applying. Now they'll say, well, in fairness, we told you it was fast paced, right? They'll say that. And I want you to understand that they're trying their very best to weed people out who cannot handle some of the physical demands of certain roles. If you see things like adapter of new technology, these again are code words. And if you are not keeping up with technology, if you're looking at job description after job description and they say must know Salesforce and must know this, and you're like, yeah, I don't know that. We never needed that in my day. This is the stigma coming to life. So what do you do? Well, I'm glad you asked. Be so darn good at your job. Be so darn good at presenting the fact that you know how to do this work, that you have kept up with technology by how? What, putting it on your resume, maybe? Talking about it in your social media post? Participating in social media? I don't do all this newfangled Facebook crap. Well, that's where people are looking for you. When we have conducted, as part of the Resume Writers and Career Coaching Association, we have an annual HR forum where we invite 3 to 4 HR leaders, recruiters, talent acquisition leaders, etc. We bring them in and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Are we right? What are you looking for when you assess a candidate, and on and on. Regarding social media, the feedback has 100% across the board for at least the last probably 13 years If they're not on LinkedIn, I'm wondering if they've been living under a rock. This is a non-negotiable, y'all. We're not here to play. I want you to win. I need you to win. I require it. Brenda said. So how can we win if we're not participating in the game? We're not even playing the game. Skills aren't current. You're looking at all these job postings and you're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going back. I'm not getting this training. I'm not learning anything new. I just want a job. And here we are. You're not competitive. You have got to position yourself as somebody who can do the job. But see, it doesn't just boil down to can you do the job? It's can you do the job? Will you do the job? Or have you done the job? But then that last piece about fit, do you fit? Do I like you? Do I trust you? This is the piece where you feel like I knew I could do the job. I knew I provided all the evidence and they still didn't pick me. Like something I didn't feel right. Sometimes that piece is discrimination showing its ugly head. Okay, so back to, I think it was Dave. He said, how would they even know how old you are? That was his question. How would they know how old you are? Because we're telling them. You're telling them right on your resume, retired nurse, retired teacher, retired military, seasoned professional with 35 years of experience. You're putting your college graduation date and it was 1986. Whatever. You're giving it away. Now you might ask, well, can't they just look at my LinkedIn profile and see that I have gray hair? Sure they can. Sure they can. But what's stopping you from showing up on your LinkedIn profile vibrant, outside with some sun shining on you, not with a big grimace and a big arm fold, just mad at the world? Are you ready? Can you do this job? If I'm looking at your profile picture, I had to correct somebody the other day. I was like, this picture is intimidating. Like you're not smiling at all. Like I feel like you are unapproachable just by looking at this picture. And there are things that we can do about that. You have power in these situations. You can control what your LinkedIn profile picture looks like. And if it's a car selfie with your face all grimaced, this is a very good opportunity for you to take a new one. Outside, phone a friend and let them use their iPhone and or Samsung Galaxy and get the thing done for you. Get it done and eliminate this kind of language from your resume vocabulary. 35 years, psh, what's my personal limit? 15. 15 plus years of experience. Guess what that encompasses? 35. Also encompasses 15, 16, and everything in between, but without the stigma of age discrimination attached to it. So let's make sure if you want to talk about your years of experience, that's fine, but cap that number at 15. And for those, I see somebody, what if we don't have a clue how to quantify accomplishments? Let's talk about some of this stuff in the breakout session. Oh, Jessica, you're already on it. Yep, already on it. Hold on, I'm going too fast. All right. Yeah, your job, your controllables, have an effective resume. Some of you are already asking, well, I don't know how to do that. Come to the breakout, join a workshop, invest in a professional resume writer, phone a friend, like do what you got to do. Here's one of the reasons why I'm particularly mad right now, because by the time people call me, they have already consumed all of their resources. They have $0 to invest in any kind of service, and they remain stuck and unemployed for the foreseeable future. And it's not okay. There are free services out there that you can grab hold to. If you don't have the funding to invest in a professional service, call the city. that you live in. Call the Workforce Development Center for the city or state that you live in. By any means necessary, get this thing done, but please do not presume that your resume as it is going to work for you. If it hasn't already, it probably isn't going to in the future. And so join up with the breakout session. This is a good moment. You have resources right here ready to help and serve you. Plug in. Compelling LinkedIn profile, clean social media presence. Look, I know this is election time, but if you're on social media right now talking about this camp of people is stupid because they're not voting for your candidate, this is hurting you. Those candidates are not doing anything to affect the bottom line of your household, but it is affecting my ability to install you into this position because you bring trouble with you. Be careful. You are allowed to have an opinion. Somebody I think might need to mute. Yep. And so you are allowed to have an opinion. There is nothing wrong with you having an opinion, but please don't be out here calling the other camp stupid, foolish, just because they don't agree. State your facts and move on. That's all. Don't let the political race cost you so much more. Please. I don't care what you believe. Just leave it off of social media. Have those as private conversations with a friend. Every opinion does not need to be shared publicly. And make sure that your skill set remains in demand. And that means certifications, classes, webinars, go to a conference. She mentioned I'm the president of the National Resume Writers Association. We have an annual conference. If you are a resume writer, you better be in the building. If you are in HR, you better be at the SHRM conference. And on, right? Be in the building at your respective industry spaces. I'm moving on in the interest of time because this is one of the most important things that I'll say today. Never do it alone. I think so many people are out here trying to succeed by again, well-meaning. I've updated my resume. I've applied to 100+ jobs every week. Nothing is happening. I'm starting to really get down and depressed. This is real talk, but we have forgotten the secret ingredient. And the secret is don't do this by yourself. Engage people who love you, engage people who care about you. And if nobody fits that description, nobody in the whole wide world, then it's time to create community. Y'all know Career Connector started from nothing. Look at it now. Community has been created. And now, what, tens of thousands of people being helped every year? Come on. We're not out here playing games. Stop doing this by yourself. When you don't have people advocating for you and saying, James and April, they're the best thing that ever will happen to this customer service department. You need to give April a chance because she is awesome. She is amazing. She is exceptional. I worked with her before. She is going to just brighten up the whole scene. I liken it to when you go to an amusement park. You ever go to an amusement park and buy like a front of the line pass? I don't know if you ever seen that. Well, I have, adult-ish children. And we get the front of the line pass and we get to walk past all those people. They're waiting in line for hours and hours. And here we are, 5 minutes and we're in. This is what your network can do for you. It can provide that front of the line, skip the line situation. And it can help to accelerate this whole process. This is hard enough. Please don't attempt to do it alone. Now, I know Mark Pierce is getting ready to talk about some mindset things, so I'm going to kind of bypass this piece for now, but get some folks advocating for you. Please stop doing this alone. And really, I think the bottom line is question it. If somebody is willing to discriminate against me, do I really, really want to work for them? The end. Here are some resources. Please connect, connect, connect. Don't follow me on LinkedIn now. Don't do that. Don't follow me. Connect with me. I'm a real person.
Mhm.
I am a real person who genuinely, truly cares about what happens to each and every one of you. Now, don't ask me, like, can you review my resume? No, 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 don't do that. Connect with me. I'm a real person and I want to see you shine. I want to see you thrive. I want to see you show up. Let's do the darn thing. Let's win together. Push. Thank you.
Awesome, Brenda. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being so real and also giving us tips on how to address the real stuff people are dealing with and going through. I wanted to ask a question that kept coming up. This one was around, you know how sometimes applications will ask, they shouldn't, but they will ask gender, age, disability, that kind of stuff. There's always an option typically for prefer not to answer. What's your guidance on that?
So, again, I just went through my little job search experiment very recently, and I saw that very question, and I very carefully read through the fine print, if you will. What it said was this information is not shared with anybody who would make the kind of hiring decisions. Now, certain smaller companies, like I'm going to be a little suspicious about that. Bigger companies, they actually do have regulatory oversight and all of these things. They have mechanisms in place where you can really objectively measure a candidate as opposed to you know, choosing favorites. Right. And so it's more of a rubric and, you know, this person gets this many points for this thing kind of thing. And we're scoring across the board. And so for me personally, after I read through the disclaimers and all of the things, um, I have to share with you that I went ahead and said yes. I answered the question. I told it I was a Black person or what have you. I answered the question, but that on some level is an advantage for me because of my race, because of my gender. And so I cannot just simply blanket say everybody ought to. I think we have to be careful and consider our own unique circumstances. And perhaps, again, this is another opportunity for some like A/B testing. Sometimes I'm going to do it, sometimes I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to see which ones are going to be the ones that produce the kind of results that I'm looking for, because that's a little unproven. And it also depends on the size of the organization. A big Intel, they're going to follow all the rules and do what they said. But something smaller, kind of, you know, 50 employees, something like that, everybody knows everybody. And I have a little less trust for them doing what they said they would do.
Yeah. So good. So good. Thank you. That's great advice. So Brenda will catch up in the chat with some of those other questions. And again, she will be in the breakout room. So I encourage you, if you have some more questions for her, jump over there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great talk. Great information. Thanks again for being so good to us all the time. All right, we're going to move on to Mark Pierce, and he has dedicated years to various areas of counseling, including men's and fathers, family, depression, anxiety, grief, careers, and family friend relationships. With a master's degree in clinical mental health care counseling, Mark transitioned from an 18-year career in recruiting and talent acquisition to pursue his true calling. His extensive life experience and professional background offer people guidance to navigate their challenges effectively, and he's committed to fostering personal growth. He's a devoted husband and father of 3. He lives in Chandler, Arizona, and is a proud Iowa Hawkeye fan. Just ask him about Caitlin Clark, apparently. He often inspires others with his mantra, living the dream. He is the owner of Hearts Matters Counseling. He's my favorite person in the whole world, as he is my husband of 20 years. I have seen him personally. He is the reason that I even launched this organization. So without his support and commitment to taking the scary steps out and doing it, we would not be here today. He himself has gone through multiple career changes, including a huge recareering, again, from the recruitment area into really where he is so gifted in counseling and mental health. So please help me welcome Mark Pierce to our stage. Yay!
Thank you. I did not write that. So that was very kind of person who wrote it. Thank you. So before I even get moving at all, Brenda, like I have a gold chain in my office. Like you get the gold chain, sister. That was amazing. We had some hard conversations, and we gotta stay real. We gotta have these conversations. And everything that you talked about, we're gonna roll right over into my presentation as well. So well done. I learned so much, and you're so brave for just sharing it. So also, Jesse, you're one of my favorite people as well. So I've never presented in front of your online audience. This has always been in person. Matter of fact, I was the first person, I think, to do a group selfie with Career Connector, the long selfie stick, like 100 people behind me. But a selfie would be impossible right now. All right, everybody. We had some tough information maybe to hear. Maybe we had some stuff stirred up in us with what Brenda had said. Maybe you came into today with just feeling hurt, feeling angry, feeling some of those negative emotions, and we're gonna address them this very moment. So here we go. And slide number 1. This is based on career transition mindset matters. My name is Mark Pierce. I was introduced. I've been a counselor now for about 4.5 years. It's been 2 years in a methadone clinic. For those that don't know what that is, that's those who have an opioid addiction. Methadone is an opioid antagonist. So clients will come and take the methadone, and it reduces their desire for opioids. So that was a shocking environment for my first counseling job. I learned a lot, but I was happy to kind of transition into my own private counseling office, which is where you see me now. So let's go on to the next slide. Why should you give me 15 minutes? I mean, one thing we're going to go through is the job loss grief cycle. It's grief. We've all experienced grief on some level. Some of the hardest moments of our life, grief is how we heal. Maybe you knew that or did not know that. There's a cycle we're going to go through. And a job for most of us is very personal. So losing that job, like think about many of us, especially males like myself. That's the first question when we introduce ourselves. Hi, my name's Mark. What do you do? It's a very easy transition. So we lose that job, you maybe lose a part of your identity. It's hard. So we're going to get more directional. We're going to get more confident in what we're doing here. So just understand as we move through this, you're going to identify, and I want you to identify where you see yourself at. And we'll move through it, and I'll be here to answer questions after. You'll have access to my email, the email questions. So I want you to be really aware of each slide we go through. Next, we're going to learn how to calm your nervous system. Why do we feel anxious? Why do these things come up? Well, ultimately, our nervous system's kicking in. We're probably in some sort of fight, flight, or freeze, and we need to regulate those nervous systems. And there's lots of indicators that can tell you your nervous system's off. I guess next idea is Jessica mentioned it, but I understand where you guys, not exactly what you guys are going through, but I've been on the other end of these messages. I have an interesting recurring story, and I really didn't look at it fully until I sat down to put together this presentation, and I'm like, wow, I've had a lot of job transition over time, and here I sit today, 4 years into this new career, and I could not be more excited about what I'm doing, where I'm at. People are being affected greatly by the work that I'm doing. And I think for the first time in my insecure life, I'm like, I'm good at something. I am good at what I do. So, but it took me to be a college student. If you look at the slide there, before being a college student, I was a recruiter. Before that, I was a school teacher. So, I was a school teacher, a recruiter, a college student, teacher. Again, did some substitute teaching, agency recruiter, corporate recruiting, back to being a college student. And then I finally land in behavioral health. So if anybody's out there feeling like you've worked too many jobs, you've had too many interviews, keep interviewing and keep doing what you're supposed to do. Keep taking those steps. And this is ultimately about being job ready. There's hope where you are. And as Brenda said many times, and especially in the last couple of slides, if you heard it, you're not alone. and you need to take steps to make sure you're not alone. So next slide here. Here we go. On to the next slide. So here's the grief cycle. Just so you guys kind of process what it looks like. Denial, just being in shock, right? Shock that this is happening, that your anger. Some of you right now probably are sitting in this audience mad, just frustrated. There's other words that come to mind, but I'll keep it PG for the moment. And it's okay. You need to go through these stages. As a matter of fact, if you've lost somebody or you've gone through loss, I mean, probably all have, and you've not really talked to somebody who's a professional or try to work through that, maybe you haven't gone through the full grief cycle. I sit with people every day who have not gone through the grief cycle in 6 months, 5 years, 20 years. So it matters. And so this again is something that we can talk about because counseling is very personal. You know, I sit with people every single day. You know, when I transition, what Jessica can talk to thousands of people or millions of people. I'm much better at talking more one-on-one, more families, small groups. And so we have to go through these individual processes just so you can fully heal, because there is a very specific clinical process that will get you to acceptance. You know, and really when you're looking at the first four, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, there's not really a time frame. There's not really, like, I have a lot of clients that come in and will tell me, hey, tell me how many sessions do I need to do? What do I need to do every day? And then when will I be healed? That's a hard one, because where you're at is where we need to start. And here's where we want you to go. But you may find yourself going from being mad again to second guessing yourself to depression. Can't quite get out of bed today. And then you might be angry again. And you're going, why is this make me feel so offline? My nervous system, I'm feeling crazy, because it does. You're bouncing back and forth. As you're healing, you will get to acceptance. Which, and you look at the goal acceptance, I love this part, which is finding clarity, being determined. I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to do the right steps. And then where's my goal setting? What's next? What's the next job for me? So we're going to jump into the next slide, and we're going to start focusing on, oops, I double tapped. So this is probably some of you, right? I'm done thinking about this. The day is over. And then you go to bed and your mind's still racing. Your thoughts won't stop. I can't see a lot of faces, but I imagine people are shaking their head, because sleep is one of the lowest common denominators of health, and sometimes the least important or least ability for people to get it done effectively. So your mind's racing, and then you get up and your mind's still racing. So there are 3 areas that we're going to touch on in the next couple of slides, but I want to explain them briefly. It's mindfulness, awareness, and connection. And again, if you're hearing what I'm processing in here with you guys, and it's connecting you to Brenda's presentation, it connects. It's right on time, because what she said was, whether she didn't go clinical or not, she was very clinically sound in what she was sharing. So if we're talking about mindfulness, this really has the ability to shut your mind down. You need to shut it off to a singular thought. And we'll give you some tools here shortly that can give you an example of this. And if your tools don't work in this session, please practice at another time when the session's over. Practice the tools and learn to give your mind the ability to shut down, or just a singular thought. Awareness. Awareness is, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And we're going to talk a little bit about being aware of your emotions. Not necessarily aware of your surroundings or aware of what's happening outside here, but what's happening in here. Anxiety starts, we'll go through the amygdala and how that works. But anxiety starts in the body. It usually starts in the stomach. Anybody ever heard of nervous gut before presenting? Anybody heard of people getting anxious and maybe throwing up before presenting? Your stomach is full of nerves. And then from there, it's your body's process of the blood flowing from your stomach to your limbs so you can fight or flight. It's a biological process, but we have to learn how to control them because we're really not in a fight or flight place most of the time. So then the final is connection, and we'll dig deep into that, but connection is so, so critical. Now we'll probably have a little different angle on it, but we'll talk more about that shortly. Okay, never done this before, and just being the generation I am, it's always a little weird talking to a camera like I'm talking to myself, but we are going to do a vagus nerve reset. So just some very quick understanding what we're doing here. There's a little almond-shaped part of your brain called the amygdala that is your fire alarm. It warns you. The reason we all are here is because our ancestors' amygdalas worked really well. It avoided war and famine and maybe the tigers and alligators. It avoided them being hurt or killed because when your amygdala fires off, that's when that response happens in your body. Fight or flight's going on, and you save yourself or you get out of danger. So what we find ourselves in today's world is there's been another word added to fight or flight, and this word is freeze. So something happens, and unfortunately for us today, we don't have maybe a lot of dangers for most of us on the call. And I'm not trying to be insensitive for people who have been through danger, because you've been through trauma. These things happen for a reason, but most of us are experiencing high levels of stress where the tire gets flat, or we're short on money, or again, we lose our job. Now, there's not life or death things, but our body doesn't know the difference between the fear of losing a job and running from a tiger. So what we have to do, especially those who deal with anxiety, we have to work on our tools every single day. I'm gonna give you one more thought process before I do this. And if you've never calmed your mind and you've never used the tool, I want you to imagine you are getting ready to run a marathon. Maybe some of you out there can run a marathon right now, but most of you cannot. You need to buy the sneakers, get the shorts, maybe the shirt that fits, whatever that means. Make sure your AirPods or Walkmans work, anybody who's my generation. I mean, so you get ready, and you probably, most of us, including me, be walking that first mile. Maybe walking the second or third or fourth mile. I'm like 22 or 24 miles. How am I going to run that? That could be some of your minds right now. That could be some of your minds when you try to do what we're going to do here, or you try to do this later after the session. Your mind's going to be like, I can't slow down, because your mind used to being scared. It's thinking that's where normal is. We have to change normal and stop being scared. So here we go. I'll make this happen fast. I'm really good at making a short story long. So here we go. First things first is we're going to have you, everything is looking forward, everything's sitting forward in a relaxed posture, and you're going to breathe. You're going to give your lungs a little gift of fresh air. You're going to breathe in and breathe out. So that's almost what you should be doing anyways, but be mindful and aware of your breath from here on out. For the rest of your life, be more mindful you're breathing, and you will feel better. Your body will relax more just from that fact alone. I have some good data points around that. So once we're breathing, the first move is this. You're going to take your head, turn it over one shoulder as far as you can, and as far as you can go, you mark an imaginary X out there. So you mark an imaginary X. Once you have the X, you turn back to center. Then you turn the other direction. You mark another imaginary X out there. We're going to come back to those X's, so now we turn our head back to center. Now here's the magic move. You create a head hammock, if you can. And if you can get there, if you can't, we can go over stuff later, how to improvise, but you will relax your head back. If you need to lean all the way back, but you want to relax your head back, your body's staying forward, and the only thing we move is our eyeballs. I want you to look to the far right. I want you to look, and this is your magic move. You're going to keep looking until you yawn, or you swallow, or you sigh, one of those visceral reactions. So you just keep looking until you yawn, swallow, or sigh. And then once you've done that, you can put your eyes back to center. And I'm just going to move at the best pace I can. Remember, you guys go back and do this later. So go back to center, and now look the other way. Look the other way. the left corner of your eye. You look until you either yawn or you swallow or you sigh. And then bring your head back to center. And now we put our hands down. And here's the move. You go ahead and turn your head one direction and see how far past the X you go. Head back to center. Your head the other direction and see how far past the X you go. And back to center. Can I show, are there any yeses for people whose head went past the X? Good. Brenda did. How was yours, Jessica? Good. Good, good. So all that is just so it's a quick neuro reset. There's other stuff we can go into that'll be more long lasting, like a full body reset. Like there's a great app called Headspace, and you can find it on YouTube as well. Just type in Headspace, full body reset, plug and play. And let the noise stay quiet. So good job. And so definitely, I saw a quick note. I'll answer right now. I probably should have reminded some people, don't let yourself get too dizzy. Just look as far as you comfortably can. Right. So that's a good point. Whoever made that point up there. And I'm sorry I didn't say it a little earlier, but keep practicing. There's some other easy ones we can go over as well. So we will move on to the next slide. Good job, everybody who did that. Okay, awareness. I'm a fan of this comedian, so I see these memes come up and it just makes me kind of smile. So awareness is a big deal. And I want you to understand the mindfulness that we did right now is a physical manifestation of relaxing your nervous system. Now we get into the part 2 of awareness. And awareness is really a mental manifestation of what you are feeling, just being aware. And many of us, and I see it every day, a little bit probably in every single client, people walking around, holding on to stuff in a backpack they shouldn't be holding on to, their past, their stuff, bad things have happened to them. They've never told this person, they've never told that person. If anybody knows Brene Brown, she's a shame ninja, like shame kind of stuff. We walk around with it in our backpack, and we act like we don't have a heavy backpack on. Well, the reality is we need to work on awareness, because just being aware how we're feeling is going to remind us that, oh, I'm feeling this because I haven't quite healed from this. I'm talking very general right now, but awareness here's a very specific example. As you are, I guess my story we had earlier in the last couple months, I have a 15-year-old daughter who's now driving. So as I got in the passenger seat, and by the way, my wife wouldn't ride with her for the first month. I was the test teacher. So I get in the car, and I'm feeling a little nervous. For me, my body, I'm very aware, because I've gone through my own trauma therapy, and I'm very aware of what has happened in my past, and I've healed through this. So I'm cheating a little bit compared to those who have never done this, but I feel it through my feet and my legs, and kind of it starts in my stomach. And so immediately I start doing some neuro resets. You know, one of my favorites also is putting your fingers in your ears and just kind of pulling down and breathing. Just rubbing or moving that amygdala can stimulate it and calm you down. So I was doing a little bit of that before my 15-year-old went on her first couple drives with me. But that was my awareness, knowing that something's off, instead of having a stomach ache, needing to go to the bathroom too much, having some random tears happening, anger outbursts, and thinking it's normal. So where is it coming from? And I can't be specific with each individual, because this really has to be done more on an individual level. But just what I want you to get out of this session, this moment, is being aware that your amygdala can fire up. Nervousness can typically start in your gut. Most of us don't catch it until our chests are tight. Things are holding us down. And this is where we need to address it immediately. Stop, have a little movement. There's lots of things you can do to kind of shift your thoughts. So we will move on to the next slide now. And using connection. So I know we're talking about job loss, but all this is a part of your job search as well. By being mindful and calming your mind, by being aware of your emotions, you put yourself in a much better place for that interview. when you're connecting with others, when you're reaching out. So here's connection after a job loss. And this is really kind of a standard list for most of my clients as well, but you need to connect with yourself. Connecting with yourself is critical. Mindfulness and awareness are really a part of connecting with yourself. But let's say you're not really great at shaking hands and kissing babies, right? You are, reach out to your family, reach out to your closest, easiest connection to learn how to do that. Find your friends you can count on, previous coworkers who liked. Always be a good coworker. Always be a good coworker if you can. And LinkedIn, social media, meet somebody in public, coffee shops, grocery stores. Not being weird, just connect with people who are open to being connected with. And just knowing that you're a genuine person that wants to connect. And ultimately, you will start to find yourself feeling heard, seen, and cared for. But don't miss this, only after you care for self. Then it strengthens everything else. Yes, I am the guy that would probably talk to you in the grocery store line. So if you see me, run. All right, we're gonna just a quick little recap, moving through the job loss grief cycle. Today, we went over new tools to calm your nervous system. And there are a lot out there. You can take some time, and I'll answer questions after this, and I'll be available. I love what I do, and I love to help people get that nervous system back into a parasympathetic state. So getting your head out of, getting your head around, but getting out of your head. Sorry, getting out of your head, but getting your head wrapped around what is mindfulness? What is awareness? What is connection? Remember, this stuff doesn't happen fast. What you're grieving over in your job loss is certainly connected to something greater in your past. I'm not saying it has to be anything catastrophic, but there's some pain that most of us are carrying around that we just need to understand is there, process it, share it. You don't have to see a counselor, but a counselor is certainly an area that can help. You know, research the vagus nerve reset or neural reset on social media. Just whoever, you got some TikTokers out there, somebody on Instagram, social, anything, Google those things. Watch and listen to Headspace. Actually, Headspace is on Netflix and also is an app. I know there are many companies out there that will offer Headspace to their employees, but then guess what? They don't show you how to use it. Okay, it's nice to have, but you need to learn to use the tool. So just keep in mind, if you're better emailing, my email address will come up shortly. Email me questions. I may not get back right away depending on the level of response I get. It sounds like there's 600 people on this call. Great job, Career Connectors. Lots of hard work behind those 600 people. So way to show up today, you guys. But ask questions, email me questions, and we'll work through all questions that come to me. I promise I will answer. And the last kind of slide is I'm kind of looking through here. It says, this is hard, but it'll end up being good. Just, this is something that's almost been a theme in our house at times is it may be hard, but it's good. So cheers to all of you in your job searches. You're not alone. You got it. So thank you for today. Here is my information. You can reach out when you need to. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, babe, for being here. Oh, Mark, I mean, thanks for being here. You know, this is such good stuff. I know some people don't like to go into the mental health and just, if you're like anything like me, it's just plow through. Oh, I don't need to worry about all that stuff that's happened to me in my life or that I've gone through, and until you're knocked down on your butt and it might be a job loss that does that to you, you realize, oh boy, I got to take a moment and really get my arms around this. So good stuff. Thank you for sharing with us. And he's also on LinkedIn. You can connect with him on LinkedIn as well. And there's the website and phone number. Thanks for being here. All right. So I just want to tell all of you that you are getting an email after this event. And on that email, we'll have the link to this playback video. It will have resources, tons of resources, including, Mark, I think you're sending the Vegas Reset, like a video or something. Is that the one you're sending?
Working on it, yep.
Okay, so you'll get a link to that if you want to, have that and practice that. We drop the Headspace link in as well. And then you'll have their links to both Brenda and Mark, their LinkedIn URL or LinkedIn profile, so you can connect with them there. All right. So I'm going to walk through some information, and then we're going to move on to breakouts for the last hour. The first thing we'd like to do before we end is we would love to have you fill out a survey, because we evaluate all of our events. The reason we bring in Brenda is because people were asking about ageism, racism, and all of these hard things. And so we brought her in because of feedback. We brought Mark in because people always are asking us about the mental health side and how do I move past where I'm stuck? How do I move past? And so that's why we bring our speakers in. So one of the things I'd like you to do is we're going to have a survey dropped in to our chat in just a moment. Wendy just dropped it. So if you could click on that chat or that link, go out, fill out the survey. It will take you less than a minute, maybe even 30 seconds. Fill out that survey. It collects data for us as we go out and get grants. We're a nonprofit organization. And so to continue this, we get grants. And so click on that survey, go take it real quick. And when you are done, after you take it, can you come back to the chat and just drop a 1 in the chat or done, letting us know you've taken the survey? Because what we're going to do in just a moment is we're going to give out a $25 Amazon gift card. So for somebody that has completed the survey. So go ahead, take that survey. It's in the chat. Open up the chat. If you don't have that opened up, Wendy Howell dropped it in the chat. Click on that link, take the survey, and then come back and write done in the chat box, so we know that you have completed it. As I walk, thank you, April. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Todd. As I walk through the rest of this, these resources. So like I said, you will be getting an email after the event today. On the email, it will be include the recordings and the playback from today. And then all of our previous events that have been virtual are in there. So you can do some searching and watching other events if you have something specific you'd like. You also have access to a DISC assessment, which the DISC assessment is an assessment that it will take you about 15 minutes to take, and it gives you some feedback on your ideal work environment, some of your strengths, things that you can use on your resume and in your interviewing process. Totally free, completely free. And so you can take that, you can get the 24-page report back, and you have information on yourself. Then we are all over social media, and we would love to connect with you that way as well. I connected with so many of you today on LinkedIn. So thanks for dropping your LinkedIn URLs in. Then we have great partners that support this organization. So thank you to all of them. Brenda had mentioned the RWCA, the Resume Writers and Coaching Association. They're one of our partners. They serve at all of our events, all the way back until the beginning of time 15 years ago. And they have been here and helping with us. So thank you for that. One of our other partners is Best Companies AZ. And so Best Companies AZ was actually mentioned by Brenda as well. And so we are based in Arizona, but this organization, even though they represent companies primarily in Arizona, they actually have opportunities all over the US. It's not just Arizona. So they have remote and virtual positions as well. Now, not for Best Companies AZ, but for the companies that they represent. And companies that they represent are companies that win awards, such as Best Company for Working Women, Best Most Diverse, they get diversity awards, Best Fortune 100 companies. And so we have Jenna on the call today, and she is from Best Companies AZ, and we'll have a breakout room. So if you would like to talk to her, thanks for dropping in the chat, Jenna. If you would like to talk to her, she's going to be available. These are some of the companies that they represent. So lots of great opportunities there for you to talk to somebody or talk to a company there. And then we also have an opportunity with LearnKey, which is an online training platform. So this is a great time for you to get upskilled and be trained. There are tons of resources out there. We partner with this organization, and they have various certifications and opportunities that are available to you, so that as you're getting into your next job, you have these certifications, which are highly looked at by employers now. So some people, degrees are awesome. You know, when we have our degrees, but certifications are really something that connects directly to a job. And so they have a lot of different opportunities for short-term career pathways so that you're ready to go. And even with that, they offer a couple at no cost. And so they want you guys to feel comfortable with getting into the system. So cybersecurity is one that they offer at no cost, and building trust and credibility, which is one of the top 10 skills, soft skills that employers are looking for. How do you come across as being truthful? Are you credible? And so that's really important. So those two are free. Also, you can visit any of the WIOA workforce centers in Arizona here. We have Arizona at Work, but you can, if you are interested in getting additional training, just go out to Google and type in WIOA. That's the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act. That's a federal law. WIOA money is given every year across the nation, and it's allocated typically by population. And so each state has a responsibility on how they spend those funds. And so they're called different things throughout the states. So you can Google yours, and then you can go meet with somebody and see that if the training that you need is offered, or you can get it and they can pay for it. And so that is how you access those no-cost trainings. All right, and then upcoming schedules. And so the next event, the coaching and content event we have, is with Justin Jones, a phenomenal speaker, and he's talking about work smarter, not harder, and talking about AI assisted job search. So I can't wait to hear him. Then we're going to do the Red Hot Resume panel. We do this twice a year. It's one of our most requested events. That's September 5th. Brenda, are you on that one? Yes, so Brenda's back, and she's going to be on the panel as one of our resume experts. Usually it's a group of 3 or 4 ladies from the Resume Writers and Coaching Association, and they're phenomenal. And so they're going to talk all things resume. And then we have a hiring event, a virtual hiring event on September 19th in partnership with Best Companies AZ, where we're going to talk about the fastest growing industries and also 20 companies that are hiring within those industries. And so that's on September 19th, and it is a virtual event as well. We are also doing a handful of workshops, some virtual, some in person. The ones for the next month are virtual, but they are on a grant with Pinal County, which is a county out here in Arizona. And so predominantly focused on Pinal County residents, but the virtual ones are open. So we have professionals teaching these resume writing workshops are available, and then we're going to do where the jobs are. So we're really going to take a deep dive into what types of jobs are available and what industries are growing. If you are interested in volunteering, I saw some people interested in volunteering. Please check out careerconnectors.org/volunteer. There's a short just application so we know who you are and what you might be interested in, and then we'll follow up with you from there. If you would like to volunteer, we're always looking for like grant writers and researchers, administrative support. And so if you're interested, please go ahead and do that. Then I want to thank the volunteers that are here. So thank you so much for the people providing Zoom support for all of our coaches, our professionals. And when I say coaches, you guys, we are talking about professional coaches. They know what they're doing, they're certified. And so if they're recommending that you make a change or do something different, it's because they know. And so we're so grateful for each of you, and they're going to be available in the breakout rooms, which I will talk about in just a moment. I do have a winner of our gift card that my team just sent me. And so the $25 gift card goes to Rotasha Balami. I hope I said your name right. Yeah, right. Yay, Rotasha. Woo! Our admin will be in touch over the next couple days. And so if you get a text from us that says, or from somebody that says you want a $25 gift card, it's legit. It's not spam. So respond, and we will get you the virtual Amazon gift card that you'll be able to use right away. Thank you all for being here today. We are a nonprofit organization. And so as you move into landing your next career, which you all will, you will land your next job. As you get into landing your next job, we would be so grateful if you would consider donating back so we can continue growing and serving other people that are looking for their careers. Thank you for being here. Myself and our team are praying for each of you that you do land into the career of your dreams. I'm going to toss it over to Bree. She's going to talk through our breakout rooms, and just thank you all so much. So hang tight. We're going to go into the breakout rooms. So Bree, you want to take it from here?
Yes. Okay, so in just a second, I'm going to open all of the breakout rooms. So you'll see down at your toolbar, them open up. You'll click on breakout rooms. You'll see a list of all of them. And then whichever one you want to join, just click to the right of the room and you'll see that button that says join. The same way you go into a room is how you also come back to the main room or join another room. So if anyone needs help, just let us know, but I just opened all the rooms. So you should be able to see them now. If you do need help getting into a room, just let us know in the chat and we can manually move you in there. Thank you.
Thanks, Bree. Bree is managing all the logistics on the back end. She does an awesome job. So the rooms are open. And you can go ahead and click the breakout room icon on the bottom of your screen. And once you click that, you will find the list of breakout rooms. And you just click the blue join button next to your breakout room. And then you will be able to go over to the breakout room. If you aren't sure, or the Zoom link doesn't come up for you, sometimes that happens depending on what version of Zoom you have, just drop it in the chat where you would like to go, and we will move you from that room. You can go to any rooms you'd like. So once you're done with one room, you can move to the next room and move to the next room from there. I want to make sure all of our speakers are, Mark, are you finding your room? Let's see.